Some handguns never relied on high-tech gadgets to stay on target. They were engineered from the ground up to shoot true. Believe it or not, a few of these straight shooters were made behind the Iron Curtain. Now, what if I told you that some nearly forgotten Soviet-era pistols can still outperform today's top-tier handguns, even without red dots, lasers, or tactical upgrades? In this video, we're taking a deep dive into 7 little-known Russian sidearms that deliver jaw-dropping accuracy far beyond what you'd expect. That includes a .22 long rifle pistol designed by a blind gunsmith that can give modern match-grade rimfires a run for their money, and a revolver born from Cold War embarrassment that still holds its own against today's precision wheel guns. We'll also look at a compact-duty sidearm that shoots with the precision of a marksman's tool, plus a strange military pistol that can outgroup some of your favorite Glocks. From rimfire champions and competition-tuned workhorses to military prototypes that never saw mass issue, these Soviet designs are a testament to overlooked excellence. If you thought all Russian pistols were clunky war relics, buckle up, you're in for a surprise. Let's start with the Marglin MCM. This pistol has roots in the post-Civil War era of Soviet Russia, thanks to Mikhail Margolin, a designer who, despite being completely blind from combat injuries, refused to walk away from firearms development. With backing from engineers who saw his raw talent, he joined the Tula arms plant and introduced the MCM in the year 1948. The gun was chambered in .22 long rifle and built for target shooting, so the military passed it over. That meant it skipped mass deployment and mostly flew under the radar in Western circles, where combat-ready pistols usually grab the spotlight. At first glance, you might think a pistol made by someone who couldn't see wouldn't stand a chance but hit the range, and it becomes clear why the MCM earns so much respect. Thanks to its fixed barrel and frame-mounted sights, this thing shoots like a laser. The slide doesn't interfere with sight alignment, and the crisp, responsive trigger gives it an edge in consistency. The Soviets knew what they had and used it competitively for decades. Even after firing thousands of rounds, these pistols keep ticking with minimal upkeep and hardly any parts replacement. Sure, it's a bit heavy for everyday carry, and the grip angle feels unconventional by today's standards. But if your priority is stacking tight groups at 25 meters, it delivers like few others. One of the biggest advantages is its ability to cycle even low-end .22 long rifle ammunition without choking, ideal for shooters who want to practice a lot without breaking the bank. Now, let's talk about the MTS-4 revolver, a Cold War comeback story in steel. After being humiliated at the 1954 World Championships by competitors using more advanced revolvers, the Soviet Union put their best engineers on a fix. The team at TSKIB, SU, the Soviet Center for Sport and Hunting Weapons, got to work modifying surplus Nagant frames to create a true competition revolver. What they came up with around 1956 was the MTS-4, outfitted with a heavy-duty barrel and precision adjustable sights, giving Soviet shooters a fighting chance on the international stage. It was never mass-produced, since it was built specifically for competition, but what it lacked in mainstream appeal, it made up for in performance. Capable of grouping just over 40 millimeters at 25 meters, it achieved this precision with the help of custom, loaded wadcutter rounds called 7.6 2mm B1. These loads were slow-moving and incredibly stable, punching clean holes in paper with surgical precision. Shooters often commented on how effortlessly the MTS-4 kept rounds in the black. But there's a trade-off: it's bulky, single action only, and slow to reload. especially since many versions lacked both ejector rods and speed loaders. Fewer than 8,000 were ever built, and many were conversions from old Nagant revolvers, so you'll find slight differences between individual models. But when you take the time to align the sights and fire deliberately, it feels like a portal to another era, a time when Soviet shooters trained to beat the best in the world and demanded a revolver that could help them do it. It's not for everyone, but if you respect history and precision, the MTS-4 is a rare gem worth knowing. The PSM pistol made its debut in the early 1970s. Built with high-ranking Soviet officials in mind, folks who needed a sleek, discreet sidearm that looked more refined than aggressive. Chambered in 5.4 5x18 mm, its ballistic performance sits somewhere between the 22 long rifle and 25 ACP. That small cartridge makes it ill-suited for serious combat duty, but it offers almost no recoil and a surprising level of precision. In the right hands, this featherweight pistol can routinely deliver 2-inch groups at 25 meters. Its simple blowback system, combined with a fixed barrel, helps maintain a steady sight picture between shots. Collectors often call it the pocket tack driver, though it's certainly not built for defensive reliability. It slipped through the cracks of firearms history mostly because it was never widely exported outside the Eastern Bloc. The PSM was issued to officers and bureaucrats, not front-line troops, so there was no mass production push. Western gun buffs occasionally caught wind of a paper-thin spy pistol from the USSR, but sightings were rare, and actual ownership was even rarer. Some folks write it off because of the underwhelming cartridge, but its slim silhouette and refined ergonomics make it a conversation piece at the range. Reloading is a straightforward affair, though there's no last shot hold open or external slide release. On the plus side, it slips effortlessly into a waistband or coat pocket. The grip angle and low-profile frame feel natural in the hand, making it a joy to point and shoot. Functionally, the pistol cycles well so long as the ammunition is properly dimensioned. Certain brands with slight variances in case length or bullet shape might induce occasional misfeeds. That said, owners who do find one often become evangelists for the little Soviet oddity. Tracking one down typically involves private sales, estate auctions, or tapping into niche Soviet surplus circles. American import laws prevent a smooth acquisition process, so serious collectors often rely on specialized dealers or international sellers with leftover inventory. Now, let's shift gears to a Soviet pistol made with the competition firing line in mind, the IZH-35M. Unlike most sidearms born from military contracts, this one was designed from the ground up to dominate in rimfire matches. The first thing seasoned shooters notice is how well balanced it feels right out of the case. It has a heavy nose to reduce muzzle climb, a fixed barrel for repeatable precision, and a trigger that breaks cleanly at around 3 pounds. These traits work together to produce overlapping shot groups at 25 yards with little effort. The pistol's minimal sight movement between shots helps competitive shooters stay locked on target. While it lacks the polished aesthetics of top-tier European pistols, its performance is anything but second-rate. The construction is rugged, magazines are solid, and the all-steel frame shrugs off range abuse with ease. The IZH-35M has a reputation for running well with a wide selection of .22 long rifle ammunition, even bulk packs. Owners frequently run thousands of rounds through them without encountering any real mechanical issues. The pistol's finish is purely utilitarian black oxide over bead-blasted steel, but that no-nonsense look is part of its charm. It includes a grip safety to comply with import regulations, though it seldom interferes with shooting. Takedown is a bit more involved than with modern rimfire pistols, and spare parts are not exactly growing on trees. You won't find fancy aftermarket grips or flashy upgrade kits, but purists appreciate what it brings to the table. Imports have all but dried up, so whatever is already stateside is likely what remains. Some examples still turn up in secondhand shops, sometimes underappreciated or mislabeled next to big-name models. We can't talk Soviet-era pistols without giving a nod to the East German Makarov, a variant that's earned serious street cred among collectors. Produced in Seoul for the German Democratic Republic, these pistols gained a loyal following for their exceptional machining and refined finishes. They flooded Western surplus markets in the early 1990s, right after the Berlin Wall fell. Many American shooters assumed they were picking up another run-of-the-mill military pistol, only to discover meticulous bluing, well-cut slide serrations, and a tight lockup that stood above their Russian and Bulgarian counterparts. Accuracy is one of the key reasons these pistols remain in demand. The fixed-barrel blowback system delivers consistent hits, and some owners report ringing steel well past typical pistol distances. The single-action trigger is crisp and manageable, although the double-action pull is definitely heavier than modern standards. Feeding from an 8-round magazine of 9x18mm Makarov, the pistol offers enough punch for close quarters but won't be winning any power contests. What really sets the East German version apart is the attention to detail. Early buyers didn't realize what they had until comparisons started surfacing less tool marking, smoother slide action, and cleaner internal machining than most other Makarov variants. Since imports ceased long ago, most of these pistols are now passed between private collectors or tucked away in safes. Gun shows and online auctions remain your best bet if you're hunting one down. Prices have steadily climbed as shooters and collectors alike recognize these aren't your average comblock surplus pistols. If you're willing to pay a bit extra, the quality speaks for itself every time you take it to the range. Igor Stechkin's creation, the APS, was born in the late 1940s as a personal defense weapon for Soviet support troops such as tank operators and aircrew. It officially entered service in 1951, but despite initial interest, it never became a staple of military sidearms. The APS was simply too large and too heavy for everyday holster use, and by the end of the 1950s, most units had moved on. Its brief time in service wasn't quite enough to etch it into the core of Soviet firearms history. What makes the APS stand out, though, is its sheer precision. Thanks to a fixed barrel and a built-in rate reducer, it stays controllable in short bursts with remarkably little muzzle rise. In semi-automatic mode, tight groupings at 25 meters are easily achievable. When paired with its detachable shoulder stock, the pistol performs almost like a compact carbine, but that setup is hardly practical for general carry. Its 20-round, double-stack magazine loaded with 9x18mm Makarov rounds gave it far more capacity than the average Soviet pistol of its era. The APS experienced an unlikely revival in the 1990s when Russian police and counter-crime units needed more firepower to fight rising organized crime. Some departments unearthed these older models from storage and pressed them into service again. While far from ideal due to its bulk and often unused full auto feature, it did offer improved firepower and decent controllability. A suppressed version, known as the APB, was introduced for special operations. This quieter variant produced even tighter shot patterns, possibly due to the weight and balance provided by the suppressor and minor barrel tweaks. Next up is a more modern offering from post-Soviet Russia, the GSH-18. Developed by the same Gryaz-Shepunov team responsible for some of the world's most formidable aircraft cannons, This pistol was built to handle the hottest 9 by 19 millimeter loads, including the high-velocity 7N31. A rotating barrel system and reinforced locking mechanism were central to the design, allowing it to safely and accurately manage extreme chamber pressures. In military evaluations, well-assembled examples reportedly produced 1.5-inch groups at 25 meters. Its low-bore axis also helps shooters stay on target during follow-up shots, keeping muzzle rise to a manageable level. On paper, the GSH-18 had all the right ingredients: a lightweight polymer frame, striker-fired ignition, and rugged internals. But reality didn't match the blueprint. Russian troops had mixed reactions. While a few specialized units adopted it, complaints about rough machining, an awkward grip profile, and frequent slide bite emerged early on. Enthusiasts appreciated its ability to handle punishing loads, but many found the trigger feel spongy and the frame design uncomfortable. U.S. import restrictions make it nearly non-existent on this side of the Atlantic. And even within Russia, the GSH-18 is something of a ghost. Most remain locked away in armories, while a few live on in the hands of elite units or private collectors. Despite its shortcomings, this pistol represents a bold attempt at modernization using innovative materials and engineering, just one that fell short of consistent execution. So there you have it, 7 lesser-known pistols from the Soviet arsenal, each offering a surprising level of precision that can still rival today's most advanced handguns. Some were built for warfare, others for sport, and a few for roles that still spark debate. But every one of them shares one trait: a level of accuracy that demands respect from anyone who's had the chance to squeeze the trigger. If you happen to own one of these historical gems, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with your experiences. And if this deep dive into Cold War sidearms hit the mark, give us a thumbs up. Share it with your fellow shooters, and don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss another look into forgotten firearms history.